Okay, welcome back for a second episode of Cheers to You. I'm here with Cristal McLaughlin. How's it going, Cristal?
I'm doing well. How are you, Dane?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
How was your day today?
My day is great. I'm a little hungover.
Oh, really?
I'm hurting just a little bit during this quarantine. There's not a ton to do out there. So me and some girlfriends, we just kind of you know uh, went out in West Hollywood and just got a couple of cocktails to go because you don't want to sit and get sick from everybody. But they have these to go things, and then we went to go hang out with some friends. And yeah, I'm not a young little chick anymore, so I
No.
can't hang anymore. But I'm okay. I'm okay. At least I got up and took a shower and got dressed, to be here with you. I'm so excited. This is my first official interview, so
Oh,
you can
really?
say you broke this interview, yeah.
Good, I'm glad. I don't know if you remember, I also met you through the Creative Mixer like I did with Phil.
Right. By the way, I'm not drinking alcohol today because obviously I'm hungover, but I'm gonna cheers you. I'm gonna drink a LaCroix. So
LaCroix.
it's cheers to you.
Cheers to you. I will be pouring one of those limited edition Johnny Walker bottles,
Ooh,
like Game of Thrones.
nice. Awesome. This is like my favorite. This is hibiscus. If you guys have not tried it, I highly recommend it. It's delicious.
You a fan of Game of Thrones?
You know, it's so funny that you ask because I really loved Game of Thrones, but then maybe around season 3 or 4, I
Yep.
started getting nightmares every time I'd
Oh,
watch it.
Nightmare.
So, because it's so violent. So I had to stop watching it. But I used to love the show. I'd watch it with my mom. Me and her loved it. But same thing with my mom. She was just like, oh no, this is too violent for me. So unfortunately, I never got to finish it. But maybe I will since we're in quarantine. I mean, why the hell not?
Yeah, it's, that's what quarantine's for binge watching.
Binge watching. Yeah, absolutely. Um, how was your day?
Well, I had my day off today. I go
Oh,
back to work tomorrow,
oh, that's good.
but not so happy about that. But what are you gonna do?
That's okay. That's
Have you
okay.
been working during this quarantine?
I have had a few auditions, but nothing, I haven't booked anything quite yet. I'm probably going to start revamping some of my stuff just to see if that might be helpful. I want to create a website because I haven't done that yet. Just with everything, all the stuff that I do, because obviously I'm an actress, but I also do TV hosting, and I'm an artist, and just anything that you could use for your resume is good. I mean, you know how this business goes. Gotta be multifaceted.
Yeah, you do. I seen a lot when I was Googling you. I saw a lot that you were doing. You know, I saw you were doing the shop. You had your own store online.
I did. I used to do makeup. I used to be a makeup artist for uh, probably 15 years. I started in, believe it or not, middle school doing people's makeup. And then I would just do it for fun. And then people were like, you're really good. You should be a makeup artist. And then I ended up working for MAC Cosmetics, which I have here, by the way. MAC Cosmetics, if every girl probably knows. I worked for them for about 5 to 6 years. And then I had my own business sort of, doing makeup for sets and runway and film and music videos and charity events. And I mean, you name it, I've done it. FX stuff too. That was a lot of fun. But then once I got into acting, I sort of took a step back from that because I realized if you're in that business, you have to really give it your all too. It's kind of like acting. So if I was going to move here, um, I would have to really put all my time and energy into that space because it's a competitive industry, just like acting, believe it or not. So I don't do it quite like I used to do it before, but I still, every now and then I have people reach out to me asking me to do their makeup for events.
Oh, that's a nice little side hobby that you have going for you.
Yeah.
So about the acting, so what have you done? I was looking you up. You were in The Psychotherapist.
Yeah, funny story. So when I was 16, well, I should take that back. When I was probably, oh God, I can't even remember how old I was, but I was a kid. For sure, I was like 7, 8, around there. Do you remember the show 90210, or is that too, how old are you?
I will be 29 at the end
Okay.
of July.
You might have been too young for that. Yeah, you probably weren't around for that quite yet. Oh my God, I'm aging myself. I'm dating myself. But there was a show named 90210, and I'm pretty sure you know what it is. But there was an actress on the show. Her name was Brenda, and everybody used to tell me I looked like her. And I remember playing with friends, and I had this like foldable kitchen, and I remember directing everyone, like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to be Brenda. Like, we would do 90210. So at an early age, I always wanted to act. And, you know, I would just always set up these like scenarios, like these stories, these elaborate stories before we would even play. Like, I would make everybody sit there and listen to me before we actually played. And I would create these imaginary places and fairylands, or, you know, some sort of set. And I didn't know I was doing that at the time. You know, like how film and TV shows are made. I didn't know that's what I was doing, you know. And so, you know, that kind of always stuck with me. But I was always an artist, you know. I always painted, and I was doing, you know, pencil and acrylic and oil and watercolor and you name it. And while I was in art class in high school, we got commissioned to do a theater set for our high school. And so we had to make an entire, you know, set for this theater, which Alameda High is like really known for their theater. And I grew up in the Bay Area. And so once I was on the stage and I was painting, you know, the set and just like looking at the lights and the people, it kind of like triggered something in me again. And I realized like, oh my gosh, like I remember wanting to, you know, sort of, I guess you're curious, you know what I mean? You're like, do I want to do this? I don't know. Like, this is a little scary. Also, it was kind of dorky to do that when I was in high school. It was kind of like a dorky thing to join theater.
Yeah.
And I was already dorky as it was. So I didn't want to be like, you know, it was like a big old goofball, like I still am. And so that led me into, you know, thinking like, you know what, I think I want to try acting. And then I told my parents, and my parents were like, absolutely not. And so I, you know, as a dutiful daughter, I didn't end up taking, you know, any classes for that because my parents weren't for it. But I went on and studied biology. It was a biology major. Well, criminology, then into biology. I wanted to be a doctor. And I ended up having to take care of my grandmother because she was ill. And, you know, I took some time off of school. I had a scholarship for St. Mary's at the time. And then it went from like, oh, I would be taking care of her for a few months to like, now it's years, and now I'm taking care of other elderly people, right? So this became my life, and everything else got put to the back burner. And while I was, you know, taking care of these elderly people, I realized like life was too short. You know, life is too short. You see all these people, you see them on their deathbed, you see them, you know, without their children, or, you know, there was an elderly gentleman that I took care of, and he just, it was just like pure regrets. You know, he had all these regrets, and I thought to myself, oh no, I'm not going to be like that. I want to be on my deathbed, and I want to be like, I did this, I did that. You know, I tried this, you know, I had, you know, this many kids, or I got married, like whatever it is that your dream is, right? And so I started looking on Craigslist and seeing like, okay, you know what, before I invest in classes, let me just try to be in a film. And so I'm on Craigslist and I see this opening for this short, The Psychotherapist. I had never done any acting. Okay. Never in my life did I ever do any acting. And I'm going to tell you, I walked in there like, I got this. And I don't know where that came from, but I was just so sure of myself. And this was probably, I was about, I want to say 25 at the time. And I remember interviewing with the guy, oh God, I'm forgetting his name. Do you have his name there?
No, I don't.
Oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. But anyways, I was interviewing with him and I brought a friend because I thought, oh God, it's on Craigslist after all, I got to be careful. But he interviewed me and then, there weren't any lines, believe it or not, which I didn't know that wasn't normal at the time. And he just had me say some things and, he liked my look, and he hired me on the spot. And like I said, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't know if I was supposed to learn the lines before. That sounds so naive, but it's just, I was looking for someone to sort of guide me, and I had told him, I don't really know what I'm doing. So would you do me a favor and, just sort of like hold my hand in a sense.
Yeah,
And he's like,
guiding
yeah,
you through it.
right. Exactly. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, just come to set and, I'll just feed you the lines and you can just say them right after me. And so that's what I did. That was my first film and that's how it was made.
Oh,
My
okay.
lines were fed to me and I thought that was normal. I was like, wow, okay, like this is easy. But needless to say, after like 18-hour days, I was just like full of energy and excitement. And I was just so excited. And I was like, this is for me. Like, how am I so excited to be here still after being on set for 18 hours? Why do I have so much energy and so much like joy?
Yeah, such a rush.
Right. Yeah, it was an adrenaline rush. And so then I applied to American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. And I took their studio ACT program and I took a few classes there. And, to be honest, I still, I wasn't really grasping the concept. Like, what do I do with my arms? I'm not sure what I do with my body. Like, I felt like kind of like, I don't know. I just felt weird, and
Yeah,
there's like this piece to the puzzle that was missing. I got the concept of like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to feel, but I didn't really understand the
how to
movement.
move.
I think movement's big, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yep, definitely.
And so then I ended up somehow finding Uta Hoggings. Okay.
Or what is that? Or who is
Uta
that?
Hoggings is a teacher. She's an amazing teacher. She wrote The Respect for Acting. And you can find her on YouTube. And I bought her books, but I also found her on YouTube. And she has classes, live classes, they're not live on YouTube, but like when she was filming her classes, it was live. And she has, she studied with, or not that she studied with, she taught Whoopi Goldberg. And she taught like a lot of really well-known actors in New York. And what she taught me was physicality, what you did with your body, right? So she would say to an actor to do a scene, and you see this actor, on the stage doing a scene, then she goes, well, what are you doing? Where are you going? What do you need? What would you grab if you left your house? If someone was asking you something, and you were in a hurry, like what would that be like? And so
Yeah.
it just changed everything for me. it changed how I view acting, because, you know, what she said is, you know, whenever you do something in real life outside of acting, do it with intention and pay attention to your every move, right? So if you're washing dishes, pay attention to how you're washing the dishes.
Yep,
Okay?
the detail.
The detail. And so I started doing that with everything, how I drove a car, how I was washing dishes, when I washed my hair, if I sneezed, if I ate, I mean, you name it, I just became obsessed with paying attention to, you know, movement. And really there's an art to that. And so that was another teacher that really influenced me. And so I was taking those classes. I was also taking improv at Pan Theater. And one of the teachers there actually used to be a part of Second City in Chicago. And everybody would always tell me, God, you're so good. You're so good. Like, have you been doing this for a long time? And I hadn't. I was new to the class. And so it's sort of like, it just, the more I delved into it, the more I learned to appreciate it, the more I wanted to be a part of it. But again, I was you know, doing caregiving. So I thought to myself, okay, like, this is the type of thing that you do with 100%. Okay. So right now I can't do that. And so I'm going to just sort of put it to the side. I'll read some books and, you know, I'll do my thing, and then I'll come back to it. So after I stopped caregiving, I was years later, I started to get back into it. And I asked myself, okay, if I'm going to do this, you have to give 110%, because you cannot half-ass this business.
You cannot. It's a
You
fast-moving
know.
business. One job's there, it's going the next.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, if you're not prepared, like they always say, be prepared for the opportunity that presents itself to you. If you're not prepared, then what are you doing? You know? And so, you know, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna give it my all. And sorry, by the way, if you hear a squeaking sound, that's my bird.
The birdies.
That's my bird. My bird. He's right there in that cage. Yeah.
Okay.
So
What kind of birds do you have?
I have one lovebird. His name is Bogey.
Bogey.
Yeah, Bogey. I'll show you guys a picture. Hold on, let's see if I can get it. Oh, here he is. Can you see that?
Oh, that's cute little bird.
Penguin. He's a lovebird. He's adorable. But anyways, so, you know, I made this commitment to myself, you know, that I was going to give it 110%, especially because now I'm giving up my scholarship to go to St. Mary's to be a doctor. It's like, you know, it's,
Yes, a big
you know, it's one of those gambles, right?
yeah.
And so I became a part of this group called Coffee and Catch Up, and it was an acting group in the Bay Area where people kind of sort of got together and they discussed acting and the business and like how to do things. So I got a lot of information through that, you know, and then I got myself or took some more classes, BATS, and you know, I just educated myself as much as I could. Okay. And then eventually I got myself an agent, Nilo, who I still am signed with up north. And I'll never forget the audition I had to do for them. They gave me a paper and it was like a CoverGirl commercial. And what is that sound? Sorry, I live in West Hollywood. It's a little loud out here. It sounds like Santa Claus is coming. And so
in July and June.
Say that again?
In June and July, Santa's coming.
I know. He's early. Well, I mean, he's knowing that quarantine has messed up everything for everyone. So he's coming early to.
He's coming twice.
Joy. Yeah.
A couple times.
Exactly. And so what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I can't even remember. I just dropped it right now. Basically, oh, okay, so Nyla, so they had me do a CoverGirl audition, and I remember doing it, and they laughed, and I was like, is that good or bad?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know what they're laughing about, but I hope it's
right,
good.
Right, and it was that one commercial where it's like, easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl. And I remember doing it and feeling so cheesy, but they gave it to me and they came back in the room 3 minutes later and had me do it. And so I just did my best. And they were like, we love you. Like, we want you to sign with us. And I was like, okay, cool.
Nice.
Like, this is good.
Excellent, just like that.
Right.
So do you do many commercials?
I've done a ton of commercials, but I haven't always been like the lead. And so officially, I just got my first commercial, and that was for Marshalls. And it was sort of interesting because the way that they had addressed it on LA Casting was looking for people who shop at Marshalls, want to hear stories, will pay $20. And I was like, I love Marshalls. I buy everything at Marshalls. And I had just purchased, they said, bring in your favorite item. And I had just purchased this amazing bag that it's like a Mexican looking bag. And it reminded me of my grandma. And I told them the story about how I found it and why I loved it and so on and so forth. And then next thing I know, I get a call back. And I'm like, call back? I thought this was just an interview for, this bag. And after 4 times of going in, I eventually got the spot, and they made a cartoon of me. That was really cool. And they used a different bag for the commercial, but needs to say, they were the nicest people. And I just felt so blessed to have gotten that. That was in November of last year. But unfortunately, because of quarantine, they took the commercial down. It only aired maybe about 10 times or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm hoping, I'm knocking on wood, that
It's
they'll
back.
bring it back. Yeah, when things open up again, because I could really use that.
Yeah, I mean, how is LA? Has stuff been opening up over there?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, little by little, you'll notice things are opening up, but it's not like the same. It's not the same. Everybody's wearing their masks and everybody's sort of like staying away from each other, and stores are like, I know I drove by Nordstrom's yesterday in Santa Monica, and it said it was open, but it was completely dead. It's just not the same.
They must have just opened up.
I guess it's so bizarre. It's like a ghost town, everything's like a ghost town now.
Yeah, no one's gonna want to go anywhere for a while.
Yeah, no one's gonna want to go anywhere for a while, for sure. I can't blame them, and nobody wants to really, spend money because they don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yep,
So everybody's
exactly.
saving money. I'm paying off my debt. That's what I do.
Me too. I'm paying off my car debt from when I still owe it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Focus on that right now.
Yeah.
Paying that off.
Yeah.
So other than acting, you've been a producer?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a bunch of short films and skits, and right now I'm actually writing a pilot, and that's with a group of friends, and I'm just always trying to create something. I think it's important to, like Freddie says, to create the characters that you don't see, the characters that you want to go out for.
Yeah.
And I think it's just good practice. I also write an article once a week for AfterBuzz TV. I do TV hosting. Again, writing once a week. I'm not the best writer, but I have great ideas, and I have passion. And I think sometimes passion is that much better than, being the best writer in the world, right? Because if you have no passion, then what's the point?
Yeah, because you never know from what you're writing, someone else is gonna like it, and they might want to produce that.
Right, and
you're so passionate about it.
Say that again.
Because you're so passionate about it, because you put your heart and soul into it.
Right, and and here's the thing too: is you learn something. You learn something about yourself. You learn something about the craft. You have a new appreciation for for just creating. In fact, I did, before I moved out to LA, I did a film. It was a short film, and it was for NBC. It was a contest, NBC Playground it was. And it was called Kinkles and Acne. And it was about a girl, believe it or not, this came out before Jane the Virgin.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like the same premise as Jane the Virgin. It's a woman who's in her 30s who ends up having to move back in with her mom and her grandmother, and she's Latina. And she ends up having to move back in because she just can't afford to live on her own because, you know, the Bay Area is so expensive. And so it's sort of the story of like the hardship that she's having within that family dynamic, one, growing up as a Latina, but also being American, and, you know, just being that age and having to go back home. And so it was, you know, something that was supposed to be created for a show idea. And I'm not kidding you, like, I'd say like 12 months later, Jane the Virgin came out. And I was just shocked. A friend of mine that was helping me on the film, she was just like, did you see Jane the Virgin? Because it's exactly your premise. And my film didn't win, but they used the premise for sure.
Did they?
For sure they did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was too similar.
So what else have you done anything else other than the producing, the acting, and the makeup department? Because I know you said you try to reach out in other departments to work at.
Right, directing. I do some directing as well. I'm just trying to think of anything else right now. I think that's, I sing, you know, I did.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I
Nice.
do. I did choir for like 6 years. And so I love to sing. I would like to create a sort of like a musical if I could. But not like your normal musical, more of like some of the stuff you're seeing on TV now.
Yeah.
But I love to sing. I mean,
Is
it's one
that
of,
what you do in like your free time almost?
you know, I feel like I'm always singing and always listening to music. Even like yesterday, when we went to go hang out with some people we met, they were, you know, music producers, and we were listening to some of the music that they had just made. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds like just like Michael Jackson. The guy goes, wait, what? And I go, yeah, it sounds just like Michael Jackson. It wasn't his song, it was some other artist. And he goes, wait a second, I think you're right. And he pulled up the Michael Jackson song and he played it, and it was like almost identical. And I was like, what did I tell you? It's just a slower version. And so I have like an ear for music. I have an ear for music. I have an eye for art and color and like anything. I'm like very observant. And so for me, I'm like, I may not be like the best writer, but I could probably tell you what's wrong with your paper. People ask me all the time, like today and yesterday, I had a friend reach out to me and ask me to correct his website, like the way that it looked and everything. I was like, well, you need to remove this and you need to add that. I just have a knack for that. So anything that's creative, it just comes to me like this, you know. I'm very it comes to me very easily, you know. Just like some people, they're really good at math. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not.
I am not. Pre-calc was the farthest I could go. But yeah, I just have a knack for anything, you know, creative. You know, I pick it up really quickly.
Nice. So about the hosting, you hosted like something like this maybe, or like
Yeah, so I do. So when I touched down in LA, I ended up seeing this girl on Instagram who kept liking my photos, and she was a part of this program called AfterBuzz TV, and I was like, well, what's that? That looks like fun. And so I did my research, and I found out it was like through Maria Menounos, who's like a huge host. I don't know if you know who she is. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna see if I can get into this, you know, hosting, because I knew that this would be really good for me when it came to auditions, because sometimes I feel like and I feel like I can speak not just for myself, but for other actors, we get nervous, you
Yeah,
know, we get
everyone gets a
nervous
little
being
tighten up sometimes. Everyone,
right, right. You get nervous for, being on the spot and being asked to do something. And then sometimes the lines, you don't have them all and you're in your head. And, the thing with TV hosting for AfterBuzz TV is you're live and you literally go on. So what we do is we watch shows. Okay. We watch either TV shows, films, we do red carpets. And so let's say, name your favorite show. Name like some show you love.
Supernatural.
Okay, Supernatural. Let's say Supernatural comes on Thursday at 6 p.m. We would watch it New York time. So we'd watch it on New York time. So let's say it'd be 5 o'clock then. And then we would go on live at 6 o'clock. As soon as the show ends, we have 15 minutes to get on air. So
Okay.
you have to be on it. You have to know the storyline. You have to know the characters. You have to know what you're going to be discussing.
The plot of it.
Yeah, and you have to be on point, right? So I was like, this is perfect. And so I did a few shows and I really liked it. I did Will and Grace. I did Southern Charm. I've done Vita. I've been doing the Latino channel now. So it's like in Spanglish. I've been trying to be a little bit more involved in the Latino community since I am Hispanic or part Hispanic. And so I really just felt like it was great because when you're live, so you have to really make sure that you monitor yourself. You don't say things that you shouldn't say. You have to really just be on point. You have to look the part, you have to play the part, you have to be engaging, exciting, and, you really have to have like a really good attention span. You really do, because you can get caught up easily. I've definitely had my share of fumbling, but you learn. You learn from your mistakes, and so I've really enjoyed it. And now because of quarantine, I've been writing articles for the AfterBuzz Latino and highlighting Latino entertainers because there isn't enough of us being, highlighted in this industry. We're really underrepresented. And so I thought, what is a way that I could give back to my community? And it's just to, bring light to people that you might not know. Like an article I wrote yesterday or on Monday, but was published yesterday. It was about Aida Rodriguez. She is a comedian who is friends with Tiffany Haddish. They met in the stand-up comedy circle, and they ended up saying like, hey, if you end up being famous, you're going to scratch my back, and vice versa. So when Tiffany Haddish, exactly. So, I mean, and that's what we have to do, right? I know, knock on wood, one day when I'm famous, I'm going to be doing the same thing. And I love that. And so Tiffany Haddish ended up doing a show. It's called, oh my God, I'm blanking out right now. I think it's called They're Real. Hold on. I just had it in my head and now it just went like that. This is what happens sometimes with TV hosting, by the way. It's called They Ready. And so it's Tiffany Haddish sort of like hosting it, but it's all these different comedians, okay, that she felt needed to be given the spotlight. And I love that. She's given back to so many people. So one of the comedians that she highlights is Aida Rodriguez. And Aida Rodriguez is really funny. She has a different take, different type of humor. She talks about, being in the ghetto and her mother dating a murderer and, wishing that her grandmother would take her back because her grandmother stole her from her mother, took her back to the Dominican Republic. Like, I mean, it's just crazy, but she makes something that's so painful into human. Into humor. So I love that. For me, that's that's the way that you
You have to
should
be
be
a
living
special
life.
kind of, yeah, sorry, you have to be a special kind of person to show.
Yeah. Yeah, and and it's just empowering, to see, women being represented in that community because I'm not part of the stand-up community, but I would love to do it one day. But I hear that it's a really hard business to be in when you're a woman, and yeah, I'm proud to help represent people like that. And so a woman who's Afro Latina, and a woman at that, it's pretty. Rewarding to see that, even if it gets to like 5 people, if 5 people read that article and they're like, wow, I didn't know who she was. That's really awesome. I'm going to watch her. Then I've done my part.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. So I'm gonna cheers to that.
I'm going to cheers to that too. I'm not going to say cheers because you're not supposed to cheers with water. This is like water, right?
Oh, is it? What is it again?
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water.
It's so
Gotcha.
good. Oh, it's so good. You have to try it. They have like watermelon and
They probably don't have that over here.
Really?
Yeah, probably not. I don't think so because LA and Connecticut, I think, are two totally different way the products are.
Really?
Yeah, because like name like a fast food restaurant that in LA that you would
I
probably
mean,
go
you
to.
guys have like Coca-Cola, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I think it's a little different with like food chain restaurants.
food chains. Yeah, because we.
Because I know you guys have like, what is it, the White Castle on that east side,
Yeah, that's more towards New York.
right? White Castle. We've got In-N-Out. I know In-N-Out's not over there.
No, but I've had I think I had that in North Carolina.
Really? In-N-Out?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It's so funny because I was just watching this. I was just watching this YouTuber. I just, with all the time on my hands, I was like, you know what? Let me just see who this YouTuber is that everybody's like giving so much praise to. His name is David Dubrick, I believe it is. And one of his like first few videos, he ends up driving from like the East Coast to California to have In-N-Out.
Just for In-N-Out.
Just for In-N-Out, him and his friends. Yeah.
I mean, some people have the craving.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's like, have you ever had Krispy Kreme donuts?
Of course. Yeah.
That's like someone going all the way for that.
Yeah. Do you guys have Krispy Kreme over there?
Yeah, but it's like it's just at the Mohegan Sun now. There's no really stores around that I know of that have Krispy Kreme. It's just at the Mohegan Sun Casino.
Oh, okay.
But so you said you did the red carpet for hosting?
Yeah, I've done some for Fab TV, and I haven't done anything for AfterBuzz TV. You have to be certified for that, and I just, being an actor, you want to be the one on the red carpet being interviewed, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of shy away from it, but I do love interviewing people. I do love having conversations with people. So I wouldn't be opposed to a sit down sort of interview, sort of like this,
Yeah.
because I do enjoy that. I enjoy that more than being being interviewed myself. I love digging into the lives of people. For me, it's just a lot of fun hearing about their journey and their history. And I used to love that show Biography. And just when I was a kid, I used to read biographies like crazy. I don't know why, but I really loved that. Knowing how someone got to the place that they got to, and seeing like their strength through all their trials and tribulations. So
A hero's journey.
yeah, the hero's journey, exactly. Is there any wonder why I got into acting? It's like, yeah.
So I saw that you covered on the Mile 22.
I did do the Mile 22.
How was that? I mean, were you kind of like starstruck by Wahlberg a little bit, or?
It was my first time doing it, and it's so funny because when I did that first red carpet, I didn't tell Fernando, who owns Fab TV, Fernando Escobar, he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't want to tell him I've never done one before, because I
Yeah,
thought he
you
was going
must.
to turn me away. And so going back to improvising, right, and just saying yes, I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway that I can give is saying yes to things, even when you think you can't do it. Like, everybody starts somewhere, right?
Yeah, and plus that's what the internet's for. You can look it up right away.
Right, right. And so, but here was the thing. He asked me like an hour before it started. And so yours, when you're getting ready to go and do something like that an hour before it starts, that's a little nerve wracking, especially when it's your first time. You don't know what to expect. You don't know, you know, what to say, or like, you don't have, I mean, I had no experience at all. So I just sort of like called up some friends that knew, and I was like, what do I do? And they're like, just ask some questions. I was like, okay, I got this. And so I did that, and I interviewed a couple of other people that were on the carpet as well. In fact, I'm friends with one of them. I still keep in touch with a couple of them, and they were just sort of like starting out in that world. So it was kind of cool to be the first person to interview them. So here I was doing my first interviews, and then interviewing some of these actors for the first time as well. Ari Felix and Brandon. Oh my God, I can't think of his last name. But it was incredible. I was nervous. I won't lie. I was really nervous because you have a huge line of people that are asking these actors these questions, and you want to ask them something different. You want to ask them something, that's exciting, but you also want to ask them something relevant to, maybe what the film is about, because, you have fans and so on and so forth. But it's funny because I can't remember exactly how many views, but like, I want to say like hundreds of thousands of views, were seen on that video that I did, which I thought was really cool. And yeah, it was exciting. Like I said, though, I don't think I would necessarily do more of that. If I did, it would probably just be for some practice for fun.
Okay. What was
Sorry.
that? Someone's revving the Harley?
Always in the street. Someone's mowing the lawn too. Do you hear
Is that?
that? Do you hear them?
No, I don't hear the
Oh,
mom
okay.
now.
Um, yeah, so I think it's always good to be prepared, and like I said, I wouldn't oppose to doing a little more, just, like I said, I think it's important to educate yourself, because who knows, maybe there's a role for me as a news anchor. Like, sometimes I see these auditions that they're looking for a news anchor, or they're looking for someone who's a host. And, I had that experience. I can say I have done that. And so I'm always happy to try something new, and give my all, when I can.
Yeah, it's good to have those experiences. Well, I'm saying those not experiences, those techniques. Like you also said, it's good to be a singer because you could audition for a movie, and it's good that you're a singer. You don't have to auto tune it or nothing like that, or change nothing at
Or,
all.
sometimes you might get, an opportunity because you sing, you know? And I think that's really important, is to utilize what you have already. I know a lot of times it can be frustrating, because as an actor, they want you to have a million things. They want you to be able to do everything, okay, plus some. And so, that can be a little frustrating, but I've started to look at it differently. And I started, like I said, I started painting again. I hadn't painted in like 20 years, and I really enjoyed that. And I was like, well, what was I doing? Like, why did I stop? I bought all these like different art supplies. But I think it's important to constantly challenge yourself and not be stuck focusing on your acting career. I really believe that. And I think that once you kind of let it go, I think things start to show up for you. And, they start to really, make sense. It's sort of like the commercial I booked for Marshalls. It was full circle. I'm big on like manifestation and like all this stuff. I'll tell you, with that purse, this is why I booked that audition. Because when I came in there, I told them the story about how I found the purse, but I didn't buy it. And then I had buyer's remorse. And so I didn't end up going back to the store and buying it, but I ended up going to another Marshall's and seeing it. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I take it back. So I saw it at TJ Maxx, didn't buy it. And then like a month later, I go to Marshall's and I see it there. And something was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found it, because this was buyer's remorse. I always thought about it, always thought about it, always thought about it. And, you know, I don't have that very often, but something in my gut told me like I needed to have that purse. And I know that sounds so silly, but there was a reason for it. You know, it reminded me of my grandmother. My grandmother used to sell purses. She was such a hustler. She'd go to Mexico. She'd buy these beautiful purses, and then she'd sell them to the women in the neighborhood. And so she would make a killing. And, you know, to have that bag was a representation of like, you know, knowing that I had my grandmother with me at all times. Her and my mom raised me. So, you know, she was just such a like go-getter, and she was never told no. Like she was just always doing her side hustles. And I think a lot of the times, like if you think about it, we're hustlers ourselves, right? As actors, you're constant.
Yeah, you can't never stop because you always have to be consistent. Because I was telling my brother the other day, because he does music. I'm like, I'm exhausted. It's like, but I have to go on. I got a message like 15 people at least, see if they want to try and be on my show, try and promote it, figure out about who the next guest is going to be, what questions to ask. You know, it's just it's exhausting, but it's also rewarding.
It is. And, you know, and the thing is, when you do the work yourself, you have an appreciation, you know? And so when I went to Marshall's and I saw it, I thought, oh, I'm getting this bag. And I was just so proud of it. It's got embroidery it's Hispanic looking, and it's beautiful leather. It's like a camel color leather, and it's got flowers on it, but it's all camel color. And I felt like literally the universe put it there just for me. And I just felt so happy with this bag, and it just gave me some strength. I know it sounds silly, but it felt special to me. And then lo and behold, a week later, I see this audition. You know, supposedly it's just, you know, they want to know, you know, a story. But in my mind, I was like, maybe they'll give me like some free Marshall stuff.
You never know.
You never know, you know, maybe they'll give me a shopping spree. Ooh, yeah, heck yeah. So I went in there. I'm not joking you. I went in there fully dressed in everything I bought from Marshall's. From jeans.
Up in Marshall's gear.
Yeah, like jeans that I bought at Marshall's that were like $15. I mean, who buys $15 jeans? You can't do that anymore, you know. And I bought this beautiful long coat, and you know, and they fell in love with me, and they just kept bringing me back, and you know, and I wasn't scared. That was the thing. Like I remember going into the second interview, and there was like 15 people, 20 people in the room. And they're all sitting there, and I'm like, hi. And no one looks up at me.
Nope.
No one even gives me a flinch. They don't even bat their eyes. And by the time I left, they were telling me, they were thanking me. And they were looking at me, giving me eye contact, and just like, you know, they were so happy that I was there and grateful I was there. And I was too. And I think going back to what I was saying is, you know, when you just enjoy life and you just go in full heart, you know, with a full heart and no expectations, and you just enjoy yourself, and, you know, don't hold on to this like, oh my God, I got to book this, or, you know, anything, you will get where you are supposed to go. You know, the journey will align itself for you. And so everything aligned for me, you know, and you know, that's why I bring up this story, because it really is a testament to, you know, what I believe in. And I know sometimes we get off track in life, right? Yeah. And we get into our heads, and, you know, I don't know if you were on the Zoom call where I was crying. Was it last week? Were you on it?
Last week, no, I think I missed. No, I missed last week.
Okay, last week, I got really sentimental because Phil was talking about how he's been feeling bad because he felt bad because he's been doing all this stuff, but he's not really getting anywhere. And I feel like we've all been there. Okay.
Yeah,
And we
kind
go,
of stuck, but
right. And we're in and out of that, right? Constantly. Like some days are better than others. And so it just made me really sad. And I think I was just already kind of stressed out because I've been thinking about all the stuff that's going on, right? You've got quarantine, you have people who are dying, you have, you know, I don't have my job anymore. And, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, you know, and, you know, people dying from the Black Lives Matter. Like, I mean, there's just so much heavy stuff happening that it's overwhelming. And
it
so
is.
when he was talking about that, you know, I got sentimental and I was just like, my biggest fear is to hear someone sad and you know, you hear a lot of people committing suicide. And so I just told him, like, you can always reach out to me. Any of you can always reach out to me if you need someone to talk to, because I think that's really important. You know, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and this is a human experience, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's so important to be grounded and to remind yourself, you know, that you are, you know, that this is not the end all be all one. And just surround yourself around really great people, you know, people who believe in you, people who give you lots of love,
Yeah.
people who encourage you, you know, people who don't say things to you. You know, I have had people with wanting to be helpful, you know. I've had people tell me I couldn't, what are you doing in this business? You're too old and you're a woman, you know? And at the end of the day, that's their issue. That's
Yeah.
not yours. Okay.
That's their
And
opinion.
that's their, like, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. Their insecurity about themselves. I don't know. But that has nothing to do with me. Have I thought about that? Yes. But that doesn't stop me, because I know that nothing is definite. Nothing is written in sand. Nothing is like, yep, she reached this age. She can't be on a, you know, TV show anymore. I mean, you look at Morgan Freeman, you look at a lot of these actors who made it later in life, and Samuel L. Jackson, and, you know, just so many people who have just made something of themselves. They made a name for themselves. And so I'm going to be one of those people, you know, and, you know, I may not have gotten to this as a child or a teenager, or even, you know, someone in their 20s, but I'm a true believer that everything is going to work its way out as long as you're doing the work behind the scenes, you
Yeah.
know?
Your work won't get overseen, because if you put into the work and everyone, you branch out, get some connections, you know, they're going to remember who you are.
Right, right. And that's important. You know, you have to be your biggest fan. I had a friend, there was a guy I dated like years ago when I was in my early 20s. And I remember one of the things that he told me was, you have to be your biggest fan. If you aren't, then why would anybody else be?
Yeah, I like
Makes
that.
sense, right? So I always kept that in the back of my head, you know? I have to be my biggest fan. Not everybody has to like me, but I have to like me. And I like myself, you know?
Yeah, because everyone, like, there's always going to be at least one person that's not going to like what you wrote or how the way
Right.
you act. So,
Right. Or what I look like, or how I talk, or, you know, could be a million. They could be like, I just don't like her because her hair's black. I mean, who knows, you know?
yeah,
But
something like that.
yeah, but it's like, it's not our job to get everybody to like us, you know? And I think that's really important to even go back into, like, talking about auditions and stuff. It's like, we get stuck in our head about trying to do our best. Yes, we want them to like us to book this, you know, and I'm learning, and it's hard, you know, because you want to book these things, you know, you want to get this part, sometimes for the money, sometimes, for, just you want to get it, right?
Yeah.
But I think, letting go of that, and reminding ourselves, that it's just, it'll align itself when it will. I think that's the most important thing you can do for yourself as a person in the entertainment business.
Definitely. So we're gonna wrap it up here, Crystal. So out of all the departments that you worked in the entertainment industry, in the long run, you would say you probably want to be an actor?
Yes, I'd say I have like in an order of like what I'd want to do. So I'd probably, so actor number one, obviously, um, and then anything after that, like I would take any of them. I would be a host. I would be a writer. I would be a director. I don't think I'd want to produce. I'd, um, I'd want to be somebody that could be creative on set. I wouldn't mind that as well. And
Almost like an editor?
say that again.
Almost like an editor?
Yeah, like maybe script supervisor or like an editor or, yeah, editor would be fun too. Um, and maybe even like piecing, scenes together, like for, films, be a film editor, so, you know, an editor, an editor for writing and also like an editor for film. Two different things, but yeah, anything in entertainment I would be happy with, but obviously the goal is to be an actress, and I am an actress, so yeah,
So you reached that goal.
I am at that goal. Now I'm just trying to strive to get on to a show as a regular principal or to book, a big film, even if it's just Sundance, something that where I could get paid and I could be happy working and know that I have everything taken care of because I'm working. You know what I mean? I could afford, to not work at the 20 jobs I have.
Yeah.
I'm like Jamaican, I got like 5 jobs, okay? But yeah, anything that would allow me to just like leave every other job I don't care about,
Yeah.
that would be the dream.
Be in a big movie with Henry Cavill.
Who's Henry Cavill?
Your boy. Your yeah, I said his name right. Henry Cavill.
Who's Henry Cavill?
Cavill.
Oh, I was like Henry Cavill. I was like, I don't know who that is.
Oh.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes, that'd be great. I need to manifest that. He could be my daddy any day. Yeah, I'm just silly. I'm silly. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to interview me. My brain is always sort of scattered and all over the place. When you say, oh, you did the psychotherapist, I lead all the way back to how I ended up there. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, because that was your beginning of how you started off.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it was a good story.
yeah. And
So
now I'm here in LA.
well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it, and hopefully come back one
Absolutely.
day with some more stories.
Yeah.
Hopefully you won't be too hungover. Hopefully you get.
Oh my God. Remind me again never to drink that much tequila. Jeez. I got such a migraine right now. Like I don't feel physically sick. It's just a little bit of a migraine.
Oh, well, water helps, and hopefully, well, you're drinking seltzer. There you go.
Yeah. I made green juice today. I have my seltzer, my water. I've been hiking every day, trying to get back into shape, because of this quarantine.
Sweat off the tequila.
Sweat it off. Thank you so much, Dane.
You're welcome. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.